This is America's Workforce, the voice of working families in Northern Ohio. One solid hour of fact-finding features, in-depth interviews, informative news segments, and practical consumer reports. Tune in now and every weekday afternoon from 4 to 5 as we stand up for you, your family, and our community. Now, here's your host, Ed Flash Barron.
Two featured guests joining us, one of our regulars and a proud sponsor of America's Workforce, Mr. Jimmy Williams, General President of the Painters and Allied Trades, will be here. He's going to talk about the general election. You know, there's been a lot of scuttlebutt about Obama. You know, everybody knows that Mitt Romney is rich. Well, Obama's been hanging around with the multimillionaires. You kind of have to raise money for a presidential campaign. There was a piece on the national circuit recently. Every time the mega millionaire slips and reminds Republicans, he's referring to Romney, how above earth he is, the NASCAR and NFL owners who are his friends, the pair of Cadillacs his wife drives. Well, Democrats do their best to repeat his comments so they stick. The implication is that the former Massachusetts governor is out of touch with regular working folks, and Obama isn't. Well, except for that Obama, after 3 years as president, has plenty of rich friends. Hollywood liberals, Jeffrey Katzenberg, Bill Maher, the comedian, have all donated millions to his super PAC, and he hangs around with some of the rich Wall Street types as well. So, as a result, you may recall this, the White House has sent the number 2 guy out, Joe Biden. And Jimmy Williams chimed in on that because he's good friends with Joe. Williams made a point by recalling a meeting before the 2008 primaries at a Washington hotel among about 10 union presidents and the pride of Scranton. That's Joe Biden. He was seeking the Democratic nomination at the time. Williams said, "Do you ever think that like Barbara Boxer or Dianne Feinstein would be here at 1:30 in the morning drinking sambucas with a bunch of labor people? He's sitting here dropping F-bombers." You're going to see the blue-collar Joe Biden turn loose on the working man, he said of the 2012 race, and he connects real well. So that comment is reverberating in political circles, and we're going to talk a whole lot about that and more. The battles in the states, labor has announced pretty much that they're going to go state by state because of, you know, what happened here in Ohio last year, SB 5. What's going on currently in Wisconsin with the recall movement, Arizona, Georgia, right to work in Indiana, you name it. The battles are there, and labor's there to fight them. Let's go to our live line right now and speak to Jimmy Williams, proud sponsor of America's Workforce. Jimmy, good afternoon to you, sir.
Good afternoon, Flash.
You know, I'm always talking about protecting jobs, and I don't understand why these people, they just don't seem to get it. You know, we have a beautiful, project going on here, a great opportunity. $50 million project. We're going to put our kids in these buildings. I mean, this is all linked to the university, and they got to bring out-of-towners. I mean, this is not new to you. You do this. You fight these battles every day, don't you?
Well, it's a shame. It just shows you that the political climate is everybody's racing to the bottom. The bottom line is the only thing that matters, and it's not about the community. It's not about the jobs. Over the weekend, I had the pleasure of being in Cleveland, and coming in from the airport, you see all of those buildings that are just, rubble now that used to be jobs that provided a great living for a lot of people in the Cleveland area, with the General Motors and Ford. And, it's amazing that people are not waking up to this and taking care of their own. So, it bothers me, but, it's a fight we're in every day.
Yeah, all the time. Hey, what brought you to Cleveland over the weekend?
Well, my vice president, Ray Price, who passed, he's retired. And, we had a little party for him over at the Doubletree in Hilton, the Doubletree Hilton there. And, we had over 400 people. As a matter of fact, Congressman Sutton was there, and we had a whole lot of local politicians. It was really a nice event, and Ray is just happy to be retired. I think it's what we all work for.
Yeah, he's a class act. Hey, he's still going to be involved in some of the politics, isn't he?
Sure, he's working. He's going to be working the Obama campaign in Ohio for us, and he's going to still be plugged into the district council there, working under Jimmy Witroba, okay, and be part of the retirees. Supporting our efforts.
Good. Well, let's talk about politics here, because I saw the piece that your office sent me about Mitt Romney and how, obviously if you're going to run for president, you got to hang with some rich folks. And there's some criticism that Obama is doing the same thing with some of the Hollywood types and some of the Wall Street types. So as a result, he's got to use the number 2 guy, Joe Biden. And I know you know Joe pretty well, don't you?
Yeah, I guess, me and Joe go back over 30-some years, and there's not a more regular person that you're going to find on the face of the earth than Joe Biden. And, to even link both him and Barack to hanging with the rich people, they represent what every building trades person, whatever afl-cio person, what the working families of America want. That's who they represent. And their policies and programs of the administration is basically, what it's all about, trying to bring back the American dream.
Yep. Now, can you tell us the story? This goes back to 2008, and I guess you brought up Barbara Boxer.
Yeah, I kind of got in a little trouble there with the okay, and I, one thing about, I think it was Albert Einstein, if you keep on doing the same thing, you're going to get the same results. I'm not going to make a fool out of myself again, but I will tell you the story because it was quite interesting. We're sitting around, and Joe's running for the White House, and he asked me to put together about 10 general presidents, and we had a dinner, and we were sitting there talking about, what his plans were going to be.
Yeah.
And I guess 8 o'clock turned into 9 o'clock, turned into midnight, turned into about 1:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
And he's telling Senate stories that, it was a riot. And, you don't get that close to somebody. I mean, I've heard some of them before being around the senator
right.
and now vice president. But, to some of the other general presidents, it was quite a treat. And we're sitting there, and I haven't drank since Vietnam in 1970. But they started passing around Zambuca, and we're sitting there drinking shots, and, I turned around and I looked and I says, I could never imagine any of the other U.S. senators, and I won't mention names, sitting there at 1:30 in the morning telling stories and drinking Zambuca with a bunch of labor leaders. I mean, it was just like, back in the day on the corner when you hung on the street corners of either Cleveland or Philadelphia or Chicago or New York. You were just one of the guys, and that's the feeling that Joe gives you when he talks to you.
Yeah.
He's sincere. He talks about his family. He talks about sitting at the dinner table with his dad, making decisions. When his dad got laid off, and they had to move to Wilmington from Scranton and start his life all over again because, there was no jobs in Scranton at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just amazing how anybody could ever try to categorize him or Barack, and I have the same feelings for Barack. I mean, yeah, look at his privileged background. Why don't we compare his privileged background to Mitt Romney? It's just ridiculous for people to say, to even try to put them in the same category. But hey, listen, this is politics, and it's all about what's going to happen this year in November. We're really pleased to make an official endorsement of Barack, and believe it or not, Flash, we're going to make it in Ohio.
Really?
Okay. Yes. Next week, the administration said pick any battleground state, and I don't think there's a more important battleground state than Ohio. And I think that we got to take back that feeling we had when we elected Strickland as governor, and have a clean sweep in Ohio. So we're going to pick a job site in Congressman Sutton's district, and we're going to make the official announcement. The afl-cio has endorsed. We waited till the afl-cio endorsed before we did our individual endorsement. But that's going to happen next week, and we're working out the details now.
Oh, very cool. So it will be in northeastern Ohio then?
Yes, yes, it will, and it's going to be hopefully in Congressman Sutton's district and maybe we can get Sherrod there, and I'm sure that Strickland might come around. So we're trying to make a nice event of it, and Ohio is so important.
Yeah.
And we just got to reach into our communities. They can spend all the money they want. We can beat them with people power, and that's what we intend to do.
Absolutely. She's got a tough race too. She's got that Jim Renacci in her district now, and he's a Tea Party type.
Sure.
And I think with people like yourself, with the proper networking, she can pull it off. I'm thinking there's going to be some upsets here in November. How do you feel?
Well, I really feel with the climate and what you're seeing now, on some of these talk shows, I think it's really turned the corner. The lack of support from the females for Romney is just unbelievable. I mean, it seems to have turned on him. He constantly puts his foot in his mouth and makes these gaffes. I mean, I hope that he continues to run hard, because when he runs hard, he really makes a lot of mistakes. And
yeah.
It's really showing in his polls.
Yeah, and you think that Obama's going to unleash Biden then, so they can relate to the working class? You feel that they're just going to let him loose?
Oh yeah, no. I mean, Joe just has that knack of, just telling it like it is. And hey, look, I said it before on this very radio. Look, he's going to make mistakes. He's going to say something stupid every now and then. But you know what? It's from his heart. Mm-hmm. He just speaks what's on his mind. He don't try to powder puff anything. He's just out there as a regular guy, and I'd rather have that than someone that is on cue, and really don't believe it. He believes in the working people. He believes in family. He believes in a job, and that's what's more important to me than anything else.
There you go. Amen, brother. Jimmy Williams, General President of the Painters and Allied Trades. IUPAT.org is the website. Jimmy, I want to talk to you about some of the battles going on in the states, and we have plenty. I know the afl-cio pretty much indicated in recent weeks that they're going to pull some of their resources and funding from national races, the congressional races, and they'll be in it, don't get me wrong, but they're going to pour more resources into the states like Wisconsin, like, last year in Ohio, we had SB 5. Arizona, they're doing some crazy things over there. In Georgia, they try to ban union picketing. But I was wondering, as far as the painters' strategy, are you going to go along with that?
Well, what we've done is we've brought in all our political directors, and we've given them basically a 1-week, educational class on what our intentions are, what our plans are for this upcoming election. And, yeah, we're going to be local, too. And we're going to focus in on the local campaigns instead of the big national campaigns. We're still going to have our presence in the national campaigns. But we're going to kind of put the onus back on the individual district councils. We're going to empower. We have approximately 420 locals in the United States, and we're going to empower one rank and file officer of each local union to lead the street campaign. Okay. Take it back to the members instead of the full-time people. We're going to have constant conference calls with these local presidents of these local unions. It might only be 200 people in that local, mm-hmm. But if he can motivate 20-30% of the members, along with the afl-cio has a terrific computer program that basically can track all of the voter registration and all the voters that, how you vote. They call them a super voter. Mm-hmm. So if you vote in every primary, yesterday we had an election here in Maryland, a primary election, and they kind of chart you. If you vote in the primary and you vote in the general, you're called a super voter. And a lot of our afl-cio, affiliates have these super voters that we're tracking. And that's the people we know are going to come out and vote. They're going to be our number one hit come November. So a little bit of education, a little bit of training went into, our political directors, and then they got to push it down and out to the affiliates. So, it's really going to be a grassroots campaign. It's going to be we cannot spend the money that's being thrown around in these super PACs, but we can dedicate our resources and our people power to what needs to be done. And like my friend Jimmy Hoffa said, This is your Army, President Obama, and we're ready to go.
Jimmy, the hot point right now in the country is Wisconsin with the recall movement. Any specifics you can give us there with the painters and what they're doing?
Well, we've been working Wisconsin since the present governor of Wisconsin was rolled out his plan. The big thing there is the new voter ID law that was passed.
Right.
That's trying to depress the voter turnout of the working people. And what we're going to do is we're going to again be in an educational mode between now and then and make sure that our people are prepared so that they don't get shut out at the polls. The polls right now are showing that the majority of the people in Wisconsin are in favor of a recall of Scott Walker. Okay, that was last night on CNN and MSNBC. So I think that he's in for a little bit of a trouble, and we're going to see what happens come November. But we're going to have a big force there in Wisconsin and Ohio, as I mentioned earlier. Okay, the two states that we kind of showed our muscle in the last year with the vote in Ohio and with the recall of some of those senators in Wisconsin. I think everybody's going to be in for a surprise this November, but it's not going to be the working people.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned that, too. Last year when we had the SB5 issue and all the TV coverage, I saw a lot of painter shirts in those crowds. I saw the IUPAT logo and everything. That was pretty good. You got to be pretty proud about that.
Yeah, and what was really, positive about that is we motivated our young, what we call our young lions, and that's our members under 35, there has to be a future to this organized labor, and the next generation needs to lead it. And we put a big emphasis in sending in these, what we call as our young lions, to all of these campaigns. We'll send 40 or 50 people in, and they'll work the area for a week or 2 weeks or whatever they have to do. And their energy is just, unbelievable. I mean, in my age, I try my best, but I got news for you. Those 30-year-old kids can do a hell of a lot more than me.
I hear you. Any specific battles you want to call attention to? Any areas in the country you want to mention right now?
Well, basically it's shaping up. The way it's shaping up, where we thought we would have some battles, we're really not. We're very concerned about Senator Brown. And we're going to push real hard in Ohio. That's a big concern for us.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Pennsylvania seems to be pretty safe with Senator Casey, although he's a favorite son of mine. But whatever needs to be done in any of these states, Rich Trumka has a plan that he's going to designate people to handle certain areas. Florida is a key state as always. So we got our plan together, and we're going to roll it out. And you're going to see a lot of street power coming up. And I think that the Tea Party has had their day, and I think it's back to us.
They had their day, and they did not produce.
I mean, what's happened? They haven't passed one law. They haven't done a thing. It's stall in Congress. People are hurting throughout this country, and we need to turn around and get you got long-time politicians quitting over the disgust of nothing happening in Congress. So hopefully we can push real hard and have a clean sweep in November.
Yeah. It's funny you mention that, too, because if you poll people, they want congressmen and women to work with each other. There's some legitimate points on each side, on the right and the left. But when you got these bullheaded guys and women, you got to throw them in there as well. They come in there and they say, it's my way or the highway. You know what? You don't get things done that way.
No, I mean, life is about a compromise. I mean, I don't know if there's any married couple out there that's never had to compromise to continue their marriage.
Exactly.
Okay, so I mean, this isn't something that is just relegated to the politicians. This is about life in general. Okay, your work, your job, your church, everything that is about a compromise. And quite honestly, it disgusts me when I see that nothing is being done in Congress, nothing's being done about jobs, and they tie the craziest amendments to bills in order to prevent them from being passed. I mean, to try to get someone exposed that they voted this way or they voted that way, instead of in the old days when they used to sit down in the back room and come up with a deal. That wasn't the worst thing in the world, because what they've done, over the last couple of years has not worked. I mean, they've taken a deficit that wasn't there under the Clinton administration, and they've blown it up to an unbelievable trillions and trillions of dollars because they can't perform. We're in these wars. I mean, we got a whole lot of things to clean up, and if they don't start cooperating, I think the people are going to throw all the bums out.
Yeah, I hear you. All right, Jimmy, we'll button it up there. I thank you so much for what you do for the painters and allied trades and labor in general. The website, IUPAT.org. You hang in there, my brother. We'll talk to you next month.
All right, take care, Flash.
Okay.